What's the number one thing you would point to as being problematic?
That's an easy answer. It's sugar, right? I mean, we are not adapted to getting foods with high levels of sugar, especially without fiber. It's probably the major driver of the obesity epidemic. So too much sugar is clearly a mismatch.
Where do you see that we're going in that category when you look at what's happening in the industry and when you look at what's happening with the next generation?
Yeah, well, it's really concerning. We clearly have a growing level of obesity around the world. Denmark is no exception, and that obesity in turn causes a whole helps cause a whole range of diseases, right? It's a risk factor for cancer, for diabetes, for heart disease, for Alzheimer's, for arthritis. I mean, the list is very, very, very long. And so trying to help people not be in that environment, that obesogenic environment that causes people to gain too much weight, is a major mismatch to consider.
Yeah, so a lot of fault gets placed, I think, on individuals, that they're making poor choices, which to a certain degree, I guess, is part of the problem. But so you're saying that when it comes to too much, the number one culprit of the problem is too much sugar. But at the same time, we've created an environment around our children and around ourselves where we're being presented with these products that we probably don't have a whole lot of natural defenses in relation to saying no to them.
No, exactly. I think it's wrong to blame the individual. The blame should go on the people and the companies in our environment that are making all this sugar available. We never evolved to choose not to eat high calorie foods, right? Hunter-gatherers, right? You know what my favorite food is? If you're a hunter-gatherer, you know what the food that you want the most is?
My guess would be something with sugar.
Yeah, it's honey, right? Yeah. It's the only naturally sweet thing that you can get out there in the wild, right? Mm. And hunter-gatherers love honey. I've seen hunter-gatherers, they get bee stings all over them in order to get honey. They love it that much they're willing to get stung by a bee in order to get honey. They'll eat as much as they possibly can, right? But they don't get very much of it, right? So we evolved to crave sugar because sugar has a lot of energy. And all of a sudden now we're in an environment where there's sugar everywhere. You walk into a store and it's filled with sugar. We pay more money for foods that have less sugar in them, right? So you pay money so that they don't put the sugar in that they otherwise would put in it, right? And so we're asking people to choose foods that don't have as much sugar. And that's asking the impossible, right? So we should never blame the individual. It's not their fault. They're being normal human beings. It's an instinct to like sweet things. I like sweet things. It's really hard for me to regulate my sugar intake.
Yeah. We're evolved to crave it dramatically, but we haven't evolved the adaptations to be able to so-called self-regulate, or in a more popular term, to have the willpower to go into a gas station when we're hungry and choose the apple rather than the candy bar. But what about our kids? When I look at my son, the level of desire that he has for ice cream every night borders on the level of addiction. Do you think we become addicted to sugar?
Well, it is, sure. In fact, sugar is addictive, and there's plentiful data which show that sugar actually is addictive early on in our lives, and in fact, when people say sugar is addictive as cocaine, they've actually got it reversed. It's that cocaine is addictive as sugar. We evolved to be addicted to sugar. It's just that we never lived in environments where there was a lot of sugar available. And you talk about your son's addiction to ice cream. I love ice cream too. I'm totally with your son, right? And for me to not eat ice cream involves a lot of self-control, and I don't always succeed. And it's hard for a 4-year-old to do it. I mean, we can't expect a 4-year-old to do that, and it's hard for parents to do it. If you're a busy parent and you're stressed out and you have a job and you're commuting and this, that, and the other, and your child's screaming for ice cream in the evening, and sometimes you can't blame the parent for giving the kid ice cream. It makes everybody happy. It's again, the mismatch is not that sugar is a mismatch, it's that too much sugar is a mismatch. And finding that balance is really challenging. And you know, many people manage to do it. It's just harder now in the modern world where foods laden with sugar, salt, and fat are so common and so inexpensive. They have long shelf lives. They're inexpensive. They're attractively packaged. You know, think about children's breakfast cereals. I mean, we're asking people to choose on a constant, regular basis, and that's hard. And we can't do it on our own. We need help.
Yeah.
We need help.
And you're an expert in evolution, and you talk a lot about evolution. You also talk about cultural evolution, this change in relation to what we learn and also what we consider normal. And if I sort of bring us back to this moderation concept, in Denmark they have a wide usage of this term, everything in moderation. They use it a lot. But is it becoming difficult to even use that concept any longer because of our cultural norms of what we consider moderate? I mean, a cup of coffee 50 years ago compared to something that looks like you could put a fire out with, to not salted caramel but double salted caramel sizes, and so is it dangerous to just try to say, oh, I'm just trying to do a varied diet and be moderate in a world that's become relatively extreme?
Well, I think your question kind of contains the answer in it, which is that, I mean, the evidence is yes, right? People are struggling. We know that. People are struggling in every, high-income country in the world. They're struggling to eat these foods in moderation because we're asking people to do essentially the impossible. We're asking people to self-regulate against deep, powerful instincts that evolved millions of years ago to love foods that are high in energy, right? And high in sugar, high in fat, high in salt. And it's become more plentiful, and people make money off it. If they sell you more ice cream, if they sell you more coffee, if they sell you more cookies, they sell you more cake, somebody makes money, right? So we're in a kind of and it's not that these manufacturers are trying to make us fat, but they're trying to make money. And so we live in a world in which consumers, people, everyone, has to now self-regulate in a way that is really challenging. And some people can do it, and some people struggle. And very often, the people who struggle the most are people who, early on in their life experience, get addicted, get overweight, and once that happens, your fat levels, for example, take over, right? And you're now fighting deep biology that it's really hard to overcome.